Okay, so we'll look at the misery of samsara. Um, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's so necessary, this whole thing. And if people are new, because some of you I don't know, I've never seen. So one does this because one wants to, to kind of to generate that the because it's difficult to get out, but to really say, hey, I want to get out of here. A little bit like, if you would be locked into a toilet, you wouldn't spend any time to make that toilet more beautiful. You would want to get out. Yeah. So, but this is what samsara is all about, because we don't really, from experience, know a state which is free from being under the control of destructive emotions. We don't have enough attachment for it, when we say, well, isn't wanting to be free from wanting nirvana, isn't that attachment? Yes, but it's a good attachment. And it's not called attachment, but it's called aspiration, because attachment promises us happiness where there is no happiness. But I think, all of us, even you are maybe totally new to Buddhism, I think for all of us, it's easy enough to understand if we could be free from negative emotions or destructive emotions, our life definitely would be much easier. We would be of much more benefit to others, and we would be much happier. And the thing is also, when we have attachment and anger, because this is what happens if attachment doesn't get what it wants, it becomes angry. The problem about these mind states, they cover our natural goodness and peace and spaciousness. This is the problem, the rest is always there, like this, the goodness is always there, it's just covered with exaggerated self-concern or guilt, or I'm no good and this and that, all these kind of beliefs and views that we have about ourselves. We don't trust our goodness enough to really go and find it. And I read so many books. At one point I read a book, it's like Buddhism is like doing an operation without anesthetics, like it hurts, but this is why this belief in our positive side, the belief in our goodness is so important. And of course, if you read the normal texts, it's not so emphasized because not necessary, because they grow up with that belief. They grow up with that belief that underneath everything is okay. I just have to get rid of things. I don't even need to develop anything. We don't grow up with this view. We don't have this view about ourselves that at the bottom, at the basis, we are okay. Yeah. Still, like even those who are born with the view of at the bottom we are okay, still the wish to live that goodness is still sometimes not very strong, and they do all kinds of stupid things. But at least they don't fall into so much, self-hate, low self-esteem, these kinds of things, which are big hindrance on the path. Yeah, it's one of the lazinesses, not believing in your potential. Yeah. So then if you suffer from this and you have this low self-esteem, it's really good to examine that also, and to think, what can I lose if I start to believe that at the bottom I'm okay? If you start looking for it, like there's teachings about how the Buddha nature is hidden. So like 9 ways. So some of them are, it is hidden like a very beautiful gold statue in a dirty cloth. So because we're afraid of the dirty cloth, we don't want to touch it. So we'll never we never go to the gold statue. Or it is hidden. Another example is like there was a very poor and low prostitute who the king had sex with her, and she got pregnant. So she is pregnant with a prince, but it's hidden by this outside mother who doesn't look as if she's carrying a prince. Or like gold in a gold mine, or like a treasure that fell in a cesspool, and or a Buddha statue in a lotus, or honey hidden by the bees. The bees is our anger and attachment, and we don't see the honey. So if we can generate some trust in our Buddha potential, in our enlightened potential, or I don't know how you want to call it. You can call it higher self or higher me. Doesn't matter what you call it. But to trust that basic natural goodness, spaciousness, and intelligence that we all have, then you can go on and again and again and again to think about the sufferings of samsara. If you don't have that, I don't think it's very beneficial to do these meditations. If you don't have that trust that you can get liberated from the suffering, I think then it's better to, to do loving kindness, compassion, these kind of things, or the four immeasurables that we did last weekend. So if it gets too much and you get too depressed, then just, zoom out and think, oh, no, she's totally exaggerating, my life is good. Yeah. But then when you calm down, then check again. Is that really so? Okay. So it's not to make you depressed. It's to give you the energy, wanting to transform, wanting to recognize why I am not as happy as I want to be. Okay. So again, you sit with a straight back, as kind of relaxed as possible. Connect with your body first so that you come into the present. Take a few deep breaths and calm yourself down by thinking, especially if you're new and you're hearing this pretty much for the first time, I don't have to believe any of this. Yeah. I'm just presenting the Buddhist view to you. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to believe it. We will still remain friends. So it's okay. Don't force yourself into anything. Check your body, whether it is relaxed, especially the face, the shoulders, the chest. Maybe the hands who are too heavy on your knees or in your lap. Come very soft, very open. Okay, so then I go again, look at your deepest wishes, the longing. What do I really want? And then look at your fears and worries, as we said before, your children, the future. Mind very often is going there. And then check, these worries, in what way can they help us? And or do I have, me as an individual, do I have any control of kind of making the world the way I want it to be? So then we can start to look at situations or think about situations that the Buddha said that as long as we have wrong views of, like, me and others being separate, or wrong views of that things exist independently from their own side, like inherently existing, or wrong views that all my actions, they don't have consequences. If we don't believe in the law of cause and effect, there will be certain aspects that are not satisfying. And it's usually called dukkha, which was translated into suffering, but maybe not such a good translation. It would be better to think, if I would have a choice, would I choose these aspects in my life? And one of them is our own mind, who is constantly dissatisfied. We know the word satisfaction, but have we ever really experienced it? And if so, for how long? Until some other kind of desire came up. Just look at that dissatisfied mind without putting gloves on, without being afraid, not suppressing anything. We're all like this. We all have this mind. Because we all have wrong ideas how things should be. And also although, we want to be generous, we want to be loving, we want to be peaceful, but then when the occasion comes where we could be it and practice it, we totally go the wrong or the other direction. We run away. We avoid. So no wonder we're so confused. We want to be patient. When we could be patient in a difficult situation, we get angry and upset. And it feels natural, it feels justified. Thinking that with aggression, we can stop aggression. I mean, how ridiculous. But we're totally convinced when we are in this aggressive mind. It's part of our samsaric existence to have a dissatisfied mind. This is why we make so much progress. But unfortunately, the progress is only material, as His Holiness keeps saying in his talks. Not much progress on developing the mind, but there's a lot of progress in kind of comfort, better phones, better cars, better air conditioners. Here in Switzerland, better heating systems. That's what we call progress. But are we more satisfied because of that? We want to be satisfied. It's part of the nature of our mind. But we're developing the wrong things. I mean, just look or just think, how many very delicious tastes have we already tasted? How many wonderful sounds have we heard? How many great movies and fantastic books have we experienced? How many beautiful sights have we had? What else do we have? How many wonderful touches did we experience? Will there ever be enough? Will there be a moment where we are saying, oh, no, I had enough delicious tastes, melodious sounds, pleasant touches, and beautiful sights? So it's part of our samsaric mind, searching, searching, more, 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 higher, higher, faster, faster. But we're looking for the wrong things. Then another aspect is uncertainty. This makes us very insecure. And this is where the fear comes from, because we know, deep down we know, any moment we can lose everything that we cherish very much. We can lose our friends. We can lose our possessions. We can lose our interest in Dharma practice. We can lose our financial security, our health, mental or physical, and we can lose our life at any moment. It's not satisfying. We struggle so much to get all these things. And then, clack, just like this, when something changes, it can disappear. It's normal in a samsaric existence. Then, because of impermanence also, we constantly go from high to low, struggle back up, fall down again. Has to do with, developing a life. Like as a kid, as a child, we have to learn so many things. So difficult. Maybe remember the fears when you were children, the insecurity. We usually think, oh, children are very happy. But just remember your childhood. Maybe you thought mom is home, she is not home. Or you were left alone somewhere, or you were lost, or you didn't know what to do, or you didn't fulfill the expectations that were put in you. Just remember that. So much suffering, so much pain. As a child already, it already starts there. Then teenager, oof, so much confusion. You want to be different from your parents, yet you know what they're doing is the right thing, but you don't want to do it. And oof, so much struggle. Then maybe you want to build a family. Then again, the responsibility, you have children, you feel responsible for them. They're not doing what you want them to do sometimes. Again, if you have your own children, just think about the frustrations, the fears. Now, of course, I know there's also joys, but now we're not thinking about these things here because we want to see the disadvantage. Then we grow older and then we start to lose our capacity. The hearing goes, we need glasses, the memory goes, the vigor in the body goes, the fat is growing on the body, or as they say, as a man, you lose your hair where you want to have it and it grows where you don't want to have it in your nose and in your ears. That was said 2,500 years ago. I mean, it's so true. Naturally, the body goes exactly not the way we want it to go. We want to have it slim, fit, full of energy. And what does it do? Goes the other way. No matter how high you were, with time, you always have to come down. And the higher you were, the deeper you fall, the more painful it becomes. So then if you are a Buddhist, then you become aware that, if you are born, you will have to die. And if you die, you have to be reborn as long as you're not out of samsara, as long as you haven't realized emptiness. You will be reborn under the control of negative emotions again and again and again, to start this progress again and again and again and again. And then, we are quite alone in this process as long as we have this idea of me and them. And you feel that loneliness when you are not well, or when you feel a lot of mental pain. And people try to help you, but nobody can take that pain away from you. Or when you are confused and nobody understands how you feel. How does that feel? Or then when we are very dependent on others in our life, but then all of a sudden we realize, if I die, I have to go alone. Or if we have to die and we worry about our children, also a lot of pain. Instead of being grateful that we have made, a part of this life or way together, and being able to say thank you, we grasp onto them, we cling onto them. We don't want to go. They don't want to let us go. I mean, death is so natural. It's a natural law, and constantly we're trying to go against it. That's why we suffer. Because we're not living with reality. And then the Buddha is also talking about the four great rivers. Birth. So of course, we say birth is a very joyful moment. Well, I'm not sure. The birth itself, the mother is screaming, the baby is screaming, there's blood everywhere if we look at it in a realistic way. What's so wonderful about coming into this world like this? So much pain. And the baby very fragile. Sickness. I mean, look at the pandemic at the moment, how much fear, how much suffering. Even when we're not sick, we worry that we will get the virus, which is a good thing in that case, at least you protect yourself. But when you get it, we're not happy. It's not satisfying to have this body that is so fragile. Then old age, also part of our samsaric existence. Well, young people say, oh, it's no big deal. It's okay to get old. Wait until you get there. You feel the pains. And especially your mental capacity going, that can be quite frightening. So instead of just relaxing into it and saying, okay, I'm not the only one, we fight it. We hide it. We get depressed about it, anxious about it. So we're actually adding to the suffering. Okay, then is death at the end of life, where we have to leave everything behind that we worked so hard for. Again, from time to time, check your mind state. Is it accepting it? Does it want to look at these things? Or is it being restless? Or is it going to sleep? We don't want to see it. But we need to see it. Then there are moments that are also very dissatisfying when we don't have what we want to have. So just remember again, just go from your head to your heart. And you find something at the moment that you have what you don't want to have. Not satisfying. Or you don't have what you want to have. So it's those two. You have what you don't want to have, and we have what we, or we don't have what we want to have. Yeah. Most of our days are kind of spent by avoiding one and getting the other, but we always fail. Especially if we put our hopes in outside things, they are never what we want. They will never give us lasting satisfaction. And probably the worst, losing something that you are attached to because of not seeing impermanence, because of not seeing the law of cause and effect. We think that if it's enough to like something and then we will have it forever and ever and ever. We get attached to it and then we lose it. And then remember moments like this. So painful. So try to catch the mind who is going, but, there is also so many good things. Yes, there are a lot of good things. But all these good things, we can lose them at any moment. Either we lose interest, or we lose the things themselves, or we die and have to leave them behind. So this is what samsara is all about, even in positive states or in like the upper states, a constant search for better, higher, more, no peace, and a lot of stress, a lot of frustration, and a lot of fear. So the moment the mind starts to really grasp this and understands this, it gives up the attachment to be reborn in samsara. And we want to have a good human rebirth. Yes, of course. Why? Because we want to attain nirvana. We want to make progress on the path. So we will not use our lives just to have pleasure and happiness, like worldly happiness. So there's nothing wrong with having a human rebirth or a good rebirth. But if we are attached to it and we think this is the non plus ultra because we don't see the disadvantages of it, we will never have the urge or the wish to then leave it behind, the suffering and the causes of suffering, which are our unhelpful emotions. That's what we have to drop. To recognize these unhelpful emotions, to identify them, to apply antidotes, and to finally be able to eliminate them through wisdom and compassion. Okay, well, I usually don't like so much to lead these meditations because it's like, it's like holding somebody's head and they don't want to look, but you just kind of hold it and you go, look, look, look. So it's good if you kind of learn to do this on your own, because then you do it voluntarily. You think again and again and again about the disadvantage of samsara, because then it comes because you want to do it, not because you're sitting in meditation and I'm forcing you to listen. So when it comes to restraint, what I wanted to mention, because tomorrow is full moon, so if you want, you can take like the 8 Mahayana Precepts, which is a good day. And also because I saw you have on your website, when I clicked into to connect, that you mentioned the 7th you mentioned La Pab Duchen. So what are you doing? Are you having a special program then, or what are you doing? No? Okay, well, what we started here in Bern, we started to take the 8 Mahayana Precepts every full moon and every new moon. So if you want to join tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock, which is 6 o'clock your side, you're very welcome to do so, because, at the beginning we were maybe 10 or 12, and then it was like 4, and then it was 2, and then it's only 1. And so, but that's okay, because I really see the benefit of taking these precepts, especially and getting up at 5 in the morning to do this regularly. If I do it regularly, I really find that one thing, it gets easier, and not eating in the evening, especially that one. And second, the day becomes very, very special. And so if somebody is joining me tomorrow morning, most probably they will understand English. So if you want, we can do it in English. But that's just a suggestion. Yeah, because sometimes it's easier to do it with somebody else than to do it alone. But you can also do it alone, or one of you guys can do it in Hebrew if you have the text. Liora, you opened your microphone?
The same link is for the Guru Puja?
Yeah, it's the same link as the Guru Puja. I have the same link for everything. Thank you, see you tomorrow. Yeah, thank you, see you tomorrow too. Whoever said that. Do you have questions or comments to this whole thing here?
I would like to say something. It's Liora.
Liora, yeah.
It doesn't state as a contradiction to look at all the default of samsara, but during the whole of your teaching, Garchen Rinpoche says, words came again and again to my mind when he says, sentient beings are suffering only temporarily, because all of you we have Buddha and you two finished one day. And it's a very wide approach to the suffering, like it's a process, and at the moment, yes, we are suffering, but we can get out of it.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's really optimistic point of view.
Yeah, of course. This is why, when we do the 4 immeasurables, when we think everybody has Buddha nature, so we don't need to freak out. Everybody at one point will attain it. And this is why also I said at the beginning, if you don't believe in this, it's not beneficial to do that meditation. If you don't believe that you can get out of it, I wouldn't meditate on the suffering. So this is very, very important, that we have to see that we have this potential. It's not necessary. This whole, it's so ridiculous that this whole suffering, this whole mess that we have in the world is because of a misconception. Yeah, it's because of wrong views. It's not even existing out there by its own side. It's because we have wrong views. I mean, it's so crazy, this whole thing. Yeah, but yeah, it is. Everybody has this wish to be happy. So everybody's searching for happiness, but then at one point, everybody will make contact with the Buddhas and then hear that they have to go into that direction and then discover it. It will not happen automatically. Yeah, this is also what we need to know. We have to make a conscious effort. Yeah, but once we have understood this, that we have the potential, is really beneficial to again and again and again and again think about dukkha, until we have really understood and say, I want to get out of here. Thank you very much. I had enough. And these are the moments when you feel disappointment and dissatisfaction and frustration and stress. And then you go like, I am sick and tired of not being able to live my potential. Yeah. Yeah. So don't go into depression when you hear these things. Yeah, that's very important. So usually, you know, when you're used to do these kind of meditations, actually they almost make, it's a big relief. And even people who never heard about this, I have a friend who is, I had since almost childhood, and she married a very rich man. And so she looks very good. They're very rich. They have a house in Mexico and where they go in the winter, and a house in Switzerland on a lake where they are in the summer. And they have a boat and go water skiing, and the kids are okay. You know, like everything seems wow. She's constantly depressed and full of fear, and sometimes even has to go to the mental clinic. So then at one point, you know, she said she was so desperate, and she said, like, I really, you know, but I have all these things. I am healthy, the kids are okay, we have money, we have this wonderful life. And I said, so what? Those are not the causes for happiness. They're just conditions, you know. It doesn't mean that because you have these things, you need to be happy. I tell you, it was such a relief for her to hear that it's okay to be depressed or suffering, even with all these other outside things, that it's all right. So it gave her quite a big of, she started crying, but out of relief. She said, oh, the first time somebody's not shouting at me that I should be happy because I have all these things. Yeah. So this is why we meditated, or we talked about the 8 worldly concerns, because we think deep down, we do believe if somebody in such a good situation, she should be happy. But she's not, still now, you know, she's just been into mental clinic again. Her husband has died in the meantime, and it's like big suffering, and woof. It's like, yeah, and she will probably, it's clinical depression, you know. So there's no outside conditions why she should be like this. But she falls into it again and again and again and again. And there's absolutely no fear. Yeah, there is fear also, but the financial security, is quite big. So, you know, that she would have to go hungry or things like that. So it's good to know that these outside conditions, they can be the condition for happiness, but they're not the cause. Yeah. And that we can lose these kind of security about ourselves or happiness. We can lose it any moment. We can also lose our faith in the Dharma, by the way, any moment. So be aware of that. So while you have it, it's good that you practice. Yeah. Any other comments or questions?
Just I want to
Yes, Michal.
to ask you or to share with you all that isn't it giving up life or prepare yourself to die is not against the very instinctual survival? Like,
yeah, we feel it's an instinctual survival thing, but even with that instinctual survival instinct, we still have to die.
sure.
You know, this is it. So this instinctual survival thing, it is not realistic. Now, of course, if you're young and yes, I will send you the link in a minute. So if maybe somebody else can answer that question of Michal, because then I can look for the link for the precepts tomorrow. Can somebody answer this?
I might add one sentence.
Shachar, do you want to answer Michal's question about, you know, isn't giving up life? You know, giving up life doesn't mean that we're killing ourselves, because we're going to be, it's in your website. Okay, so it's already in your website. Thank you very much. So giving up life doesn't mean you don't maintain life if you can maintain it. You will maintain it for the purpose of being able to understand samsara so that you can be liberated from being reborn under the control of negative emotions. But then when, when all the efforts of keeping you alive is not working anymore, then you give in and that's it.
Because I think
in our society, especially here in the West, it seems to be so important how many years you live, no matter what the quality of your life is. Yeah, and the money that is being made with this by hospitals applying medicine and remedies and therapies and to prolong a life of a few months, that is just vomiting and feeling nauseous and feeling afraid. And so then one asks, what is this for? So again, it's not black and white. It depends very much on the situation. When do I give up life and say, okay, that's it, this body is finished? And when do I want to maintain it? And in general, one says, in the West, I think we want to maintain it very often at all costs. If somebody says, I don't want to go into chemotherapy, they think the person is crazy. I have a friend like this. She was a naturopath. She was young. She was maybe 40 and she developed breast cancer and she could have saved with the normal medicine. But because she's a naturopath, she said, I can't now go into allopathic treatment. I said, why not? I mean, what are you saying? And she died under terrible conditions. I mean, full of pain. And, it was, wow. It was big, big suffering. So there it would have been good if she would have applied other methods. Other moments, then better to just, and everybody, it's good to think about this now already, It's good to think about it now and then still see what the situation is when you get there. But yeah, this is very instinctive. But then also this instinct, it can, you can kill somebody else and then what?
Right.
Then it throws you into a lower state next time. So then thank you very much. So again, it's like, whatever is instinct, we think it's instinct and it's natural and it's good. It's not, it's just learned. It's just a habit. It's grasping onto this suffering life that makes this instinct. If we would be open, again, forget about having children and all this. If it's just you, okay, don't have any responsibilities, and you say, I really, in the death process, I want to realize the nature of my mind, and you just let go, you'd be out of samsara just like this. Yeah. And being out of samsara, by the way, we talk about this tomorrow, it doesn't mean you disappear. Yeah. In this system that we are practicing here, I don't know how much you know about Buddhism. In this system that we're practicing here, we come back again and again and again and again and again as a realized being to then help others. That's the purpose. So this is why you want to have a good and a long life, so that you can understand the causes for suffering, being able to eliminate them, and then benefiting others. You don't let go of your mind. No, you can't, because you are there's no I, there's only mind, by the way. The I is just a label for the mind. You don't let go of your mind. You let go of the samsaric mind, exactly. We let go of the causes for suffering, the distorted the delusions, the negative emotions. Again, what they are, exactly how they manifest, and all this is a big part of Buddhism, to study the mind. I mean, this is Buddhism. What is a constructive, helpful mind for my happiness of others? What is a destructive mind? Or when we call helpful, when we look, what is my deepest wish? My deepest wish is da 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 da. So that attitude or that mind state, is it helpful to fulfill that wish, or is it not helpful? So actually, positive, negative is not such a good word. Why are actions positive, negative? Because the negative ones lead to suffering. They lead to something we don't want. That's why they're negative. The positive actions, they lead to happiness, because that's what we want. This is why they're called positive. Not because themselves the actions are positive or negative, because they lead to something. Okay?
Sure, thank you.
So sometimes Buddhism or spiritual practice, mental training, is to go against our instincts when they're not helpful. We have an instinct. When somebody attacks me, I get angry. You know, not angry, but in here, I get very narrow. That
Right.
seems like an instinct. And then when we say instinct, we think it's natural and helpful, but it's not. Okay, does that?
Yes, sure. Like instinct, it's a defense mechanism against threat.
For
And,
example,
and you say, how can we let go this threat?
How can you let go of the instinct, you mean?
Right.
By being mindful, by being aware, and not, you know, you notice it, as I said, for a long time we will have negative emotions, but by not reacting. And psychology would say we don't react, but we respond in an appropriate way. And for that, you need to pause. You need to not immediately react, because the reaction comes immediately. The response comes after, And you know, Viktor Frankl, who is not a Buddhist, but he was a very good scientist of the mind, when he says, between stimulus and reaction, there's a little gap. And in that little gap lies your future. So meditation, mindfulness meditation, awareness meditation, this is to prolong these gaps. This is to notice the instinct, and then to be able to pause. By noticing, say, oops, wait a minute, and then, you know, whatever response would be appropriate to do it. But again, as you said before, it's hard work. It needs a lot of time, but it can be very joyful. Because it's worthwhile. It's really worthwhile. It doesn't cost anything, you know, although they ask you for donations all the time, but it's donation, don't forget. So don't feel being pressured into this. But I think it's also very nice that you are thinking about how will we continue when the world opens up again. So I don't know if I still have a bonus or a voucher for my air ticket to come to Israel. But I don't know if the airline will still be around if once the world opens up again, because they're having, of course, all the airlines are having big problems. So I don't know if it will still be valid. Maybe it will just be a number in my computer and the airline will be gone. Who knows? So then I have to buy a new one. Okay, my dears. So do you remember the homework that you sit down and you listen to your heart and you write down all the things that make you happy? And then you look, you know, if I put my wish for happiness on these things, is that safe? Is that safe? Or are these causes for my happiness, aren't they really very fragile? And if I only have these causes for happiness, you know, how can I expect to have a happy life? Because that's what we want. We want to have a happy life, you know. And also when we talked about the sufferings and all this, don't forget, it talks about suffering. It doesn't talk about pain. What's happening tomorrow at 6? We're taking 8 Mahayana precepts. Like taking vows. We take 8 vows for 24 hours. So we... AM, yeah, and it's 5 a.m. here in Switzerland, so that people can still go to work if they have to go to work. So we take the vow of for 24 hours not to kill, not to steal, not to lie. What else? Not to have sexual contact. Only have 1 meal a day, like only eat lunchtime. Not to use perfumes. Not to watch shows or TV or movies. Not to listen to music, and not to sit on very expensive chairs with a lot of arrogance and pride, and not to wear jewelry. Do I have all 8? Maybe I have. And also not eat garlic and onions and meat and eggs, and not drink alcohol. Buddhists take these 8 vows every full moon and every new moon, and the Theravadan tradition even every half moon also. So they take it usually 4 times a month. And when we take precepts, by itself, it purifies negative karma. So it keeps, it trains the mind not to follow the mind of attachment for entertainment and nice smells and then hunger, food, you know, because yes, you will feel hungry in the evening, but that's not real hunger. That's just envy, wanting to have some entertainment for your mouth kind of thing. Yeah, so that's what we do. So if any of you are participating and you don't speak German, then I'll go and find an English text on the internet, so we can do it in English if you want.
Oh, so it's not like, it's not the Israeli, it's not in this group.
It's not in what?
It's not in this group, like it's in German, you say.
No, but this is what I'm saying. If any of you are participating, because if somebody comes here from Switzerland, if they come, the ones who come, they do speak English, so it's not a problem.
Okay.
We will do it in English. If any of you are present, of course, if you're not present, then we'll do it whatever. Last time we did it in French because there was
But
only.
we meet here at 10 o'clock?
We meet for this, we meet at 10 o'clock. We talk about bodhicitta, how to, not to be only interested in our liberation from negative emotions, but also how to liberate all sentient beings. We talk about bodhicitta, and then in the afternoon about emptiness, about reality. Okay. Do you have any more questions, or can we?
Where do I get the link for tomorrow?
Well, somebody just said, I don't know if it's Irit, that it's on the website, on the Israeli website.
Yes, it's in the website.
It's in the website.
Thank
So
you.
your time, it will be 6 o'clock, and my time, it's 5 o'clock. So we usually take the precepts, and then we do the prostrations to the 35 Buddhas. I read the names, and if you want, you can prostrate. So this is for the Buddhists. Yeah. So please, again, don't feel pressured into doing anything. Just, if you Google in the meantime, this evening, if you Google 8 Mahayana Precepts, you will find more information. I'm pretty sure. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anila.
For
Thank you.
listening.
Shabbat shalom.
And we dedicate again all the positive energy that we have created. One thing is for the long lives of our realized teachers and masters. May they have long lives and be with us. And may we also become perfect disciples. So not just to have perfect masters, but also to have perfect disciples. May we be able to generate that wish to not to be reborn under the control of negative emotions again and again and again and again. May we be fed up with it by, listening to these teachings and thinking and contemplating on them. And then also may we open up the heart and feel that connection that we have to all sentient beings, so that there's a wish or an instinct, as Michal was saying, instead of an instinct of just protecting me, that we have an instinct of protecting and helping all sentient beings.
Thank you.
That happen very
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.